Hello students, we are here with our next step and we'll be learning about tools. So remember how we set the tools to essential? That's what we'll be learning about. We'll be learning about the collection that comes with essential, and that's really what we'll be using in this course. So I have everything listed out here with a screenshot on what it is. Is it super important to know the exact name? No. Do you need to memorize the shortcut listed in parentheses? No. If you could, would you want to? Yes, I'd suggest it. It's really nice. Do you need to use all of them? No. Do I? No. There's some that I barely touch, so it wouldn't make sense for me to really commit those to memory. But you can see here, some of them don't even have a shortcut, and that's okay. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. But these are really the players of the game, and I've circled the ones we'll be using really in this module. I have generate image circled. We won't actually touch on that, but it's the AI component of Adobe. Go ahead and try it out. If you want a few extra credit points, go ahead and see what it is, make something, and send me a JPEG of it. Okay, and I'll show you how to save files in this module as well. Within, I know it's not a tool, but I just want to make sure we cover that. Okay, so this is my little device I use to teach tools. So all of our tools are listed to the left here, and then you can see here, each column is a tool. All right. Okay, I'm just going to select a layer just so I can move around a little easier. Okay, H for the hand tool, I can move around. You can see here I have move, rectangular marquee, all of these. And I put some of them in the same category just because I can use the same example. They're different tools, but they're next to each other and they do pretty similar things. Okay, but before we do that, I just want to show you how to save. Simply file, save, and you can save your PSD file, which is a Photoshop file, or let's say I want to save as a JPEG. I just change my format, but look, oops, I can't save it as a JPEG here. And that's a reason for that. Photoshop changed this in Photoshop 2022, and they only let you save it as these four under File, Save As. So what you'll need to do is go to File, Save a Copy, and change that format to JPEG. And it's the same on a PC. Annoying? Incredibly. Why they did it, I don't know. But I'm a little mad at it, not gonna lie. But I want to explain this matrix quick, and I'll keep this video as concise as I can because this is a lot of information and I don't want to bore you. I just want to dabble in it and show you how to use it, and you don't need to follow along. This is for you to absorb. Right now, we're like little babies absorbing everything and watching. So I just want you, not calling you guys babies, but I just had a baby, so that's why I thought of that, because they're just looking around. Anyways, okay, so I have my tool name in this row, and then I rated it on if you would actually use it as an interior designer. From personal experience, and 5 is yes, 1 is absolutely not. Like, get out of here, no. Like, you're joking now. And then I have before, like an example before, and then here's an example I'm going to do in class. So before and after, and I'll apply it for you live on this video. And then the cool thing about this version of Photoshop and prior is if you hover over this, it'll tell you more about it. And I just took screenshots for everyone so you can see that. But this is our move tool. Very easy. Click here. I can drag around. You'll notice I don't have my layers named properly. This is just a quick thing I made. So don't come for me. I get it. Yes, I know my layers could be named neater, but do you see how I can move that? And I masked out the background, which means I just essentially erased it temporarily. I'll show you that that's in next week. Okay, so don't get ahead of ourselves. We don't need to worry about that yet. That's the move tool, really all it is. And you don't need that layer selected to do that. You can just literally click on anything. Okay, all right. But if I click on this, it makes my layer selected, which is great. Okay, and what I want to do now is I want to introduce what I call the rectangular marquee. Okay, really weird name. I just call it the rectangle selection tool. Okay, and you can see that I've selected a portion of something. All right. Okay, that's in it. The application, you can use it on thousands of things, but I've marked it as a 5 for very helpful, and same with that last one. You'll use those tools daily in Photoshop. Okay, so our next tool, selection brush and quick selection. So I'm just going down the row here, okay? And then keep in mind, every tool has a subset of tools. If you right click, well, not every tool, and you can get more. I'm not going to go into those today. I will reveal those as needed on our projects. So I don't want to overwhelm everyone, but really if you right click or just hover, it'll show you more, and they do very similar things. But we'll get into that, especially next week with masking. So I want to go back to my move tool. Do you see here? And I'm going to click my image because I want that selected. I want that layer selected. And I want to show you the selection brush, what I can do. Okay, so if I wanted to, so I'm going to start with the move tool here. Click that so that layer is selected, and I can use this right here, the selection brush tool, to just draw portions and get that selected, okay? All right. And to really finalize that selection, what I like to do is I'll just click my move tool again. And you can see we have what's called the marching ants around it. Just boop, 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 selected. And we won't actually be doing this, but for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to delete it just to show you what it did. And then to deselect, I'm just going to do Command D or Control D here, and that will deselect it. So that is how that tool works. And then on my trackpad, I'm just zooming in and out. You can also do that with your scroll thing on your mouse. But quick selection I want to show you right here is pretty rad. Okay, so let me make sure this is selected first by clicking on it. Okay, you see how it just kind of knows? Oops, I maybe didn't want to delete that. So Command Z, Control Z, whatever computer you're on. You can see that. And I'm just hitting delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. We'll learn masking in a bit next week, so you won't have to delete, but you can see here how this gives us a little bit more control over the last one. And then just a bonus, you can also do this if you right click here on the this selection tool, you can get the lasso, and you can also kind of just carve out what you want to delete and form a complete shape and just hit delete. But don't worry, that's a lot, I know. Next week, we'll be learning all about it. We have a whole 2 weeks dedicated to that, and we'll learn more about what masking really is. Okay, so this frame tool here, I ranked a 1. You won't use it, but what it is here is I just took a frame, okay, and then you just drag and drop an image into it from the desktop. Usefulness actually should be a 0. You will not be using it. That is very much something we'd use in InDesign, and we won't be using it here. Okay, the eyedropper tool, okay, shortcut here is just I think for eyedropper, even though it starts with an E, you can see here, I just click, okay, and I have that color. And let's say I want to do B for brush, shortcut, I can now draw with that color, same color. Okay, I'm a layer below it, which is fine, but that's how that eyedropper tool works. Okay, we're going quickly, and that's okay. There's a lot of tools to cover, but I just want to touch the surface. Keep in mind, when we get into actual assignments, I'll have tutorials, and you'll get to see, I'll refresh everything. I just want you to get exposed here. Imagine like we're getting immersed in a new culture. That is Photoshop. It's a lot. Drinking from a fire hose, and that's okay. That's kind of how it has to be with this program because it's just so complex. If I could turn certain parts off and make it easier, I would, but we're just embracing kind of this mess that is Photoshop and taming the beast in a way. Okay, the spot healing brush. Remember how I clicked the move tool up here and I just clicked on my image, and that allowed me to be on that layer. Just keep in mind I have to be on that layer to make things happen, and I want my spot healing brush. Okay, and we have a stained chair, so I click that. I just drag over it. Gone. Pretty cool, right? Super easy. I rank that a 3. I don't really use it. I don't need to remove stains off chairs and the work I do. But if you do, I don't judge. Whatever you got to do. Okay. And then next we have our brush tool. And I just have down here what it does, just creates brush strokes. And B is the shortcut for that. Okay? And you can change your brush up here and everything. All right, clone stamp is our first tool. And then we'll do history brush and then eraser. Okay, clone stamp I'll give a 3, history brush I'll give a 1. No one ever uses it. Everyone just control Z's or command Z's. That's to undo. And then eraser, honestly, not often. I know that sounds weird, but we use masking, and masking preserves pixels. And we'll get into that next week. I know it sounds like a mystery, but with that clone stamp, I just click it, okay, and now watch, it's going to give me a warning. Okay, before I do that, let me select this layer. Okay, oh, could not clone stamp because the area to clone has not been defined. Option click to define a source point. Okay, and I believe on the Mac, it's the Windows key. It'll tell you. But I need to give a source point because keep in mind, we're creating an actual stamp. And I want to command click. Okay, I just did. Oops, sorry, option click. Do you see how I got that little stain? Well, not stain, little piece of fabric. Do you see the little crosshairs to my right? That's what it's copying. It's a little weird to get used to, but do you see here how it's the door now? Keep in mind those positions have a relationship. So I want to option click, okay, over here to the left, and then I'm just going to fill this in. That's really how that one works. And then with the history brush, I can just simply go over it and it will undo what I've previously done. Do I like that one? No. Could you like that one? Sure. I won't judge, but I don't. And then eraser, just E for eraser, that will remove pixels. So it removes them. Keep in mind, masking, we don't remove, we temporarily hide. Okay, gradient tool, I rated it a 3. This is really popular right now. My students seem to like this, but it's just G is the shortcut here. Okay, and now watch. Does the whole entire screen. So Command Z or Control Z. And I want to create a box with our rectangular marquee tool, such a pretentious name. And I hit G for gradient. I just drew a gradient inside it. Okay, and I can change where that gradient starts, make that gradient a diamond, which is kind of cool. I can change the color by clicking on that. So you can see how cool that is. Okay, blur. There's no shortcut for blur. I've always wondered why. I don't, the world will never know. I think it could be B, but that's for brush. Maybe there's a secret I don't know about, but I'm going to select this, so my layer selected, just by clicking on it, and then B, bye. Oh, that's brush. See, my brain already thought it was B. It's not B. There's no shortcut. Okay, and blur, bye. Yep, just protecting their privacy. This chair is really popular now on TikTok. RIP, question mark. It kind of got removed, then came back. Who knows? It's a total goat rodeo with TikTok. But this chair I saw on there, it's from like the 60s or something. Yeah, little, not very functional, more fun. And then pen tool, gave it a 2. We will not use this. This is more of a vector drawing thing, but we're in a pixel-based program. Uh, Again, that's a whole other topic, not really applicable to us. We don't need to know too much about that. But here, with that pen tool, I just click and I can draw. You see I have my infill up here as red, my stroke. I don't know why there's like a gravel pattern. And you can see why we don't use these, because they're ugly. All right, whoever thought that was useful, I'm sorry, it's not, and it won't be. It's always been like that for the past 15 years I've used this program. It's always been tremendously ugly. Okay, text tool. Can just slap down some text. Oh, my text is size 300. No wonder why we're not seeing it. Okay, that's how you do that. And you can change your font, excuse me, typeface and font up here. 5, we'll definitely be using that. And then rectangle hand in zoom, all different tools. Okay, rectangle, just to draw a rectangle. Okay, you can see here it still has that ugly stroke on it. We'll leave it. It's kind of iconic. All right, just duplicated itself. That's okay, don't need ya. And then hand, just H, allows you to zoom around. Okay. And then after that, we have zoom, and that is this little magnifying glass. Okay, and I need a layer selected first. And it will always tell you that, which is okay. And if it wants you to rasterize your layer, that's fine. We'll get into that more about really what that is and what that means. But here you can, I just use my trackpad, but if you wanted to, okay, and lastly, we will do zoom, which is this little magnifying glass. And you can just hold and drag with your mouse and it will zoom in and out. I personally use my trackpad. You can use your mouse, both work. Okay, and then we didn't cover this, but it's called the dodge tool. It looks like the magnifying glass, but this will edit things and create a mini adjustment. We don't need to worry about this yet because we have a whole unit on adjustments. And same with this adjustment brush tool, it will do something very similar. And do you see how it created its own little layer and mask for that? We'll take care of that a whole nother lesson. That's a whole can of worms. And then lastly, crop, shortcut C. Okay, and then I can just drag and change the size of that. And do you see how I made these little columns everywhere? Oh, we got the little ring of death. Okay, that's gone. I created that by just doing Command R, Control R, and that will create a ruler. And then you can just click and drag and create guidelines. These don't export with your final image. And then up here, it's just my little ruler. Like I said, just click and drag. Okay, so we're at almost 18 minutes, which is quite long. I will leave it at that. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out. And now you will dive into your tool assignment and layer assignment. They're pretty simple, so it's okay if we make mistakes. It's more effort based, but go ahead and dive into that and message me with any questions. Thanks.